Today we're diving into the wisdom of the legendary business philosopher Jim Rohn.
Yeah, a real giant in personal development.
Absolutely. And we're tackling something specific. You talked about this subtle, kind of sneaky force that he saw as a huge roadblock, getting in the way of building the life and career you actually want.
That's right. We've been digging into notes, excerpts from his work, really getting into his thoughts on instant gratification.
The quick fix.
Exactly. So our mission here in this deep dive is to unpack that. Understand how choosing the easy thing, like right now, impacts your discipline, who you think you are, and ultimately your long-term success.
We want to figure out the real cost, right? The price you pay for always taking that easy way out.
Precisely.
Okay, let's get into it. Ron didn't just see instant gratification as like a bad habit. He saw it as a trap.
A trap hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, because it feels good. It's easy, it's fast, it's convenient, it's everywhere you look.
And that's what makes it so insidious, how it starts. It's usually tiny things, choices you barely even register.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Oh, skipping one workout, telling yourself you'll do it tomorrow, or choosing the comfort food just for tonight.
Or hitting snooze again.
Or watching one more episode, checking the fridge even when you're not hungry, just out of boredom or habit.
Right. And in that moment, you always have a reason, don't you? It's fine. It's not a big deal.
I deserve it. I'll get back on track tomorrow. We've all been there. But those moments, Ron argued, they don't stay isolated. They start to stack up. They become patterns.
Predictable patterns?
Yeah, and then boom, they're automatic habits. You've trained yourself without even realizing it.
Trained yourself how?
Well, anytime you feel a bit uncomfortable or you get a craving or just an impulse hits, your go-to response becomes grabbing that quick hit. Relief, escape, a little dopamine rush.
Anything to avoid the hard thing.
Anything. So you're basically conditioning your brain, right? Prioritize immediate comfort over any kind of delayed reward. And the more you do that,
the weaker that doing hard things muscle gets.
Exactly. It just atrophies. And Ron was really blunt about the consequences here.
Yeah, he didn't pull punches.
No. He said this seemingly small habit isn't just wasting your time, it's actively undermining your most crucial internal resources. It eats away at your discipline.
Kills resilience.
Robs you of resilience, absolutely. It tanks your ability to focus, to execute, and over the long haul, it just destroys patience, grit, clarity, your ability to think long-term.
This is where it gets really stark, though. Ron used some strong language. He didn't just call it a distraction.
No, he called it a thief.
A thief,
yeah.
Wow.
Stealing your potential, numbing your actual hunger for meaningful achievement, and it kind of tricks you, convinces you to just settle, to shrink your ambitions down.
It's like it rewires your brain, doesn't it?
Yeah, it literally does. Think about it like building roads in your mind. Every time you take the easy path, the scroll, the snack, the procrastination, you're paving that road, making it wider, smoother, the default route.
Well, the other road.
Yeah.
The one involving effort.
Exactly. The path of effort, focus, patience, that stays narrow, overgrown, harder to take. So you start to associate effort with pain. You avoid resistance, and your brain actually rewards you for doing nothing productive.
So you end up believing satisfaction should be instant, growth should be easy, discomfort is the enemy.
Which is completely backwards from how anything meaningful gets built, especially now in our world where, almost everything is instantly available.
That's ironic, right? That instinct served us once.
Absolutely. It's rooted in survival.
Yeah.
Our ancestors needed food now, needed to escape danger now. Immediate action was key.
What now?
Now, that same instinct, in a world of abundance and complex goals, it just punishes us. Avoiding discomfort makes you fragile. Chasing constant comfort leads to stagnation. Demanding reward without the work, well, that just makes you dependent on superficial highs.
So every time you grab that quick fix, that easy dopamine hit, you're trading real long-term power for just a fleeting moment of pleasure.
That's the trade. And your brain learns. It expects the reward without the effort. It looks for escape, not engagement.
Ron's message here feels really powerful. Gratification without growth is empty.
Empty. Comfort without effort is meaningless. Pleasure without purpose, destructive. Nothing great is built instantly. It's repetition, endurance, sacrifice.
And he pointed out that this trap works best when you're on autopilot, right? Not really thinking.
That's when it gets you. Those small, unnoticed choices, they're not harmless. They stack up. The late night scrolling, skipping the planning, the impulse buys. Day after day, they're building the foundation of where you're headed, whether you realize it or not.
Which brings us to something Ron really emphasized, that moment before the moment.
Yes, that tiny gap. almost imperceptible, between the impulse hitting you and you actually acting on it.
The split second before you pick up the phone.
Bart hits snooze.
Or snap back in frustration.
That's the critical window. Ron said that's where your future is being forged.
So if you can become aware in that gap,
You get your power back. Just pause, even for a second or two. You interrupt that automatic loop. You move from just reacting to actually responding, consciously.
but what usually happens in that gap, the justification kicks in.
Oh yeah, it's not that big a deal. I'll make up for it tomorrow, definitely.
We're so good at rationalizing.
We are. And Ron's point was, in that moment, you're making a trade. You trade your integrity, doing what you said you'd do for quick relief,
You trade progress for comfort.
future goals for a few seconds of escape. And you do it over and over until self-trust just erodes.
So the real battle isn't just about the phone or the cookie, it's deeper. It's about how you relate to discomfort itself.
Exactly. It's that refusal to just sit with something hard. That instinct to pull away from tension instead of learning to move through it.
Okay, so that sounds kind of bleak.
Yeah.
But there's good news, right? Ron believed you can change this.
Absolutely. That's the hopeful part. You can retrain your mind. You can rebuild that discipline muscle. It takes effort, sure. It takes awareness. But the damage isn't permanent.
And it's not about suddenly doing a million hard things.
No, not necessarily more. It's about consistently doing what matters. Especially when you really, really don't feel like it.
Choosing discomfort now for freedom later.
Right. Delaying that pleasure because you value the progress more. Not because you enjoy pain, but because you value where discipline takes you.
But that means unlearning some deep conditioning, fighting instinct.
It does. And Ron taught it starts simply with awareness. Just notice the impulse when it bubbles up. Pause. Breathe. And ask yourself that key question.
What discomfort am I trying to avoid right now?
Exactly. What feeling, what tension, what hard thing am I unwilling to face in this moment?
And often the answer is something small, isn't it? Like boredom, fatigue, maybe insecurity.
Usually something manageable, yeah. Boredom, frustration, feeling overwhelmed for a second. But that small moment, that's where the battle is won or lost for your potential, according to Rohn.
He also had a really interesting take on how you win that battle, not just willpower.
Right. He said you conquer instant gratification with identity. You have to change how you fundamentally see yourself.
So stop saying, oh, I'm just lazy or I can't focus.
Yeah. Ditch those labels. Instead, start consciously choosing thoughts and actions that align with, I'm someone who does hard things. Or, I value growth over comfort.
I show up when it counts.
I'm disciplined.
Yeah.
Every single time you choose discipline over distraction, even in a tiny way, you're casting a vote for that new identity.
Reinforcing who you're becoming.
You're literally teaching your brain, your nervous system, that effort isn't the enemy. Effort builds strength. Effort builds self-trust.
And you build this how? Through small, daily acts.
Exactly. Small, intentional moments of resistance. Micro challenges. Deliberate pauses.
Like setting a timer before opening Instagram.
Perfect example. Or waiting 10 minutes before grabbing that snack you suddenly crave. Or just taking 3 slow, deep breaths before reacting when you feel triggered.
It's not punishment, it's reprogramming.
It's consciously creating new default pathways in your brain. And Ron was huge on systems too.
Making it easier to do the right thing.
Yeah, build friction around your distractions. Make them harder to get to. Remove the temptations physically if you can. Design your environment, your workspace, your home, so discipline is the path of least resistance.
So success isn't about having superhuman willpower.
It's about designing your life so you need less willpower because your environment and systems support your goals.
Which brings us to consistency. Ron hammered this home, didn't he?
Constantly. Consistency builds endurance like nothing else. It makes hard things become automatic over time. He famously said your consistency has to outlive your motivation.
And your standard has to outlast your results.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, you don't stop doing what got you there just because you hit a goal. You double down. Discipline isn't just for when you feel like it or for a specific season. It's the framework for everything.
Because the real rewards, the lasting ones, they live in the long game.
Results come in seasons, Ron said, not minutes. You gotta play the long game.
So part of this is redefining what feels rewarding.
Totally. You have to actively condition yourself. Associate reward with finishing the task, with making progress, with the effort itself, not just the relief of putting it off or the quick hit of comfort.
Celebrate being consistent.
Track your effort, yeah. Notice that quiet feeling of pride after a disciplined day. That becomes the new reward, the new positive reinforcement.
And Rohn really connected action to identity and momentum.
Every time you choose the long game, delay gratification. You're voting. Voting for your future self, casting a ballot for that more capable, disciplined version of you.
Proving you're not stuck in old patterns.
And that proof, it compounds. It strengthens your belief in that new identity. You act like the person you want to be. And eventually, the belief, the feeling, it catches up.
Okay, let's shift slightly. Rohn also talked a lot about standards. It's not just resisting bad habits, it's actively raising your baseline.
Yeah, your personal standard. He taught that your standards dictate your default actions. And your defaults, they determine your direction in life.
So high standards make shortcuts kind of irrelevant.
Exactly. And that pull towards comfort starts to feel like a warning sign, like, uh-oh, am I shrinking here?
How do you raise your standard, though, according to Rohn?
Well, first, he said you just have to get fed up. Sick and tired of the old patterns, the old results. Stop making excuses. Stop sugarcoating it.
He was blunt. If it's keeping you from your potential, it's that bad.
Right. Draw a line. Decide consciously. The old version, the one run by impulse, is over. Now.
And then back it up with action.
Yeah.
Daily.
Daily actions, rituals, systems, you don't have to feel it fully at first. You just have to start acting in line with that higher standard. The feeling follows the action.
So discipline isn't a prison. Rohn saw it as a framework for freedom.
That's exactly how he framed it. A structure you build. It protects you from your lower self, keeps distractions out so you have the space, the energy to build something meaningful. Instant gratification just doesn't fit in that structure. It doesn't serve growth.
And what happens internally when you practice this consistently?
Rohn described this fascinating shift. Your mind gets quieter. Choices become clearer. Your execution gets sharper.
Less reactive.
Much less reactive. More grounded. You can sit with discomfort longer without needing to bolt. You stop needing constant stimulation. You actually start to appreciate stillness, focus, silence, the slow burn of progress.
He connected that directly to self-leadership, didn't he?
Absolutely. Command your own impulses first. That's the foundation of leading anything else.
But he also warned, the battle isn't over once you make progress.
No, that's a crucial point. When things are going well, when you feel successful, comfortable, that's often when temptation creeps back in. Totally.
In a little voice, you've earned it. One little slip won't hurt.
Exactly. Rohn saw that as a real danger of success. You confuse momentum with mastery. Progress with permission to get sloppy.
It's easy to let things slide when you feel like you've made it.
So the key is vigilance. Rohn urged constantly auditing your habits, your standards, even especially when things are good.
Ask yourself tough questions.
Like, what am I tolerating now that I wouldn't have 6 months ago? Where have I gotten lazy, even a little, and then correct course immediately without beating yourself up.
Progress doesn't justify compromise. Results don't replace rituals.
Beautifully put. That quiet, cumulative power of consistency, it builds this internal structure. Clarity, peace, while others might be scattered, chasing highs.
So, Rohn's definition of real success, it wasn't about just feeling good moment to moment.
No, it was about feeling aligned. That deeper satisfaction from choosing the harder path day in, day out. That quiet confidence knowing you held the line. You didn't sell out your vision for a quick fix.
Living by principles, by purpose, not just comfort.
Ultimately for Rohn, success was about who you are becoming. Through those choices. Someone reliable, trustworthy. Someone you respect because you know they show up consistently.
So, wrapping this up for everyone listening. This deep dive really highlights how fundamental this fight against instant gratification is. It's not just about productivity hacks.
No, it's core to mastering yourself, building a life that actually means something. It comes down to daily choices, habits, identities, standards, all aligning with your highest potential.
Rohn had those two powerful questions, didn't he?
Yeah, really cuts through it all. First, what discomfort am I unwilling to face right now?
And second, who do I want to become? And what's the most aligned step I can take today, right now?
Powerful stuff. And that decision, it's not a one-time thing. It's a quiet commitment you renew every day. Every moment, really, in the small choices.
Because Rohn's point was, instant gratification is never really harmless. It always leads somewhere. And that somewhere is away from your potential.
Every time you choose ease over effort, comfort over clarity, pleasure over purpose, you're shaping who you are, setting the tone.
The people who achieve big things, Rohn argued, aren't just luckier.
No. They decided to stop answering to impulse and start leading with intention, with identity. Success isn't magic. It's just the compound effect of countless tiny, disciplined choices, repeated over time.
It's not about more information, is it? Or waiting for motivation.
It's about repetition, locking in the behaviors, building that long-term freedom and capability, even when it feels hard right now. Because real freedom, Rohn believed it's found inside discipline, not outside it. It's earning that self-trust, holding the line.
You know the cost of the shortcut. You felt that feeling of being out of alignment, that little bit of self-respect chipping away.
And you also know how good it feels deep down to take control, to lean into the hard thing, to end the day feeling proud of your choices.
That pride, that peace, that quiet confidence. Rohn would say that's worth way more than any quick fleeting high.
Infinitely more.
So the challenge is, decide today. Decide right now. Show up differently. Honor your future potential more than your current craving.
Spend your energy building, not escaping. Lead yourself, especially when no one's watching. Walk away from the false comfort holding you back.
And lean into the purposeful resistance that will actually set you free.
Because when you do that consistently, day after day, you start to build and discover a version of yourself who is capable of so much more than you thought. Someone built for the long haul, focused, grounded, unstoppable.
If you're ready to go deeper on principles like these, get more actionable insights to really build the life you want, make sure you subscribe to the Deep Dive Library.
Yeah, you'll get access to all our deep dives, past and future. We cut through the noise to get you straight to what really matters for your growth and success.